Moving on. Oh, you're going to clap for you, I guess, That's good. Business from the city council members. Councilmember Buckland.
The crowds have diminished. He even got a handshake out of it, a personal handshake out of it back there. Man, you'll bow to nothing back there, Darren. Thanks. Attended the SunSuite 100-year anniversary event over at the plant, and what a great opportunity that was to be able to enter the plant and kind of share it with the growers and some of the employees and our community. It was very interesting. In my prior life, anytime I entered the plant, it had to do with something necessarily not so good going on at the plant. There was either an issue there or injury or whatever. So that's when I would go into SunSuite. So to be able to do a tour of the facility and see it operational and see some of the changes that have occurred within that plant and the technology that they use for some of their line operations was pretty amazing. And the distances you walk to be able to see that were pretty, it was a good walk, probably a good half mile through the facility to be able to see two of the different lines that were operational at the time. Attended the CalCog meeting down in Sacramento, and the only thing I report out of that is there's an assembly bill, and these are some of the things that I think that we all need to watch, but Assembly Bill 805 really is being introduced down in the San Diego area, and our assembly simply looked at this as a localized issue, but it changes the voting structure of governance down in San Diego when it comes to their two transportation agencies mandating through state legislation that two mayors from the larger jurisdictions sit on it, that it be a weighted vote that occur down there. And this thing breezed through the assembly. So we are trying to reach out the best we possibly can as jurisdictions, as we believe that this sets two bad precedents for the state of California, that we reach out to our senators, any senators we have any contact with, as this thing will be going through some of the different hearings at the Senate. But like I said, it breezed right through the assembly, and we have a great fear that could happen to organizations, to include SACOG and some of the others, that would take away local voting powers, essentially. Also attended the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency meeting. Nothing of significant importance other than the projects are moving forward. There has been some funding denial by the state of California for some of the additional work that needs to be done. There's some mitigation work that has to be kind of cleaned up, but we look at wrapping up a lot of the projects and then moving forward to take care of a 3-mile reach here adjacent to Yuba City that was repaired by the Army Corps of Engineers in 1998, but not done to the same standards that the rest of the levee system is currently up to now, all the way up to Gridley. So moving some of that forward with some design money, and that was a great result of the meeting, as we can try to move that and get some of that work done before the next flood season to protect the 70,000 residents that could be affected by any type of levee issue here adjacent to Yuba City. Also attended the SACOG, which is the Sacramento Area Council on Government, the Board of Directors meeting. And we looked at a number of different issues and had a workshop that really looks at regional progress. And so we heard from some of the involved parties in Indianapolis as we look at different models, Indianapolis and St. Paul. And when we start looking at this mixed-use project that was brought forward before the council tonight, those are some of those very projects that we talk about, and then tying transportation to them as we see some changes occurring, especially in the millennial group on housing requirements, desire for housing, and also transportation. Today I had a conversation with a family of 4 that 20 years ago they sold their car. They don't currently own a car. They ride bicycles. They lived in Portland, Oregon, and have relocated here for work, and they continue that lifestyle here in Yuba City. So we will see more of that as the younger generations, not necessarily riding around on bicycles, but we'll see, I believe, more of that as we talk about things like disruptive technologies and what the next 5 years will look like. Mr. Nguyen spoke very briefly on the brick and mortar going away and having to change and look at how we're going to provide and what services we're going to provide in the community. So I think Yuba City is taking a very forward looking approach on this. But SACOG's also going to be moving into some different models that there will be, we'll be looking for some input for some civic input on this, and it's called Civic Lab. So you'll be hearing more of that from me in the future. We also did, and I'll just speak very briefly to it, we did as a council, in a very controlled way, we went up to Oroville to look at the construction site. One of the amazing things to me is how massive the construction site or reconstruction is going. The organization in how it's being mobilized, and the amount of work that is scheduled, has been done, and will get done by November 1st is a monumental task of the construction companies that have been given the awards. I did a little 5-6 second video, put that out on Facebook, and as of tonight, I think there's 9,000 views. And that was yesterday at noontime. I put that out. And the comments back from the public have been incredibly on mark to wanting to know more information. And certainly, I think that we owe that to the public to provide more and more information related to the progress up at Oroville. That's all I have.
Thank you. Moving on to Councilman Cardoza.
Okay. I've attended, last couple weeks, attended the Regional Housing Authority meeting. Last week, council, we had our special marijuana workshop. Attended the Sutter County Homeless Consortium, Gilsizer Drainage District, the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency, the U of Sutter Transit Authority meeting, the community meeting we had last week on the new water rates. For community events, we had a wonderful time at the Sunsweet 100-year anniversary. I attended lunch, and we had dinner tonight with the students at Summer at City Hall. Had a great time at both occasions. Went to Rayleigh Field last week. They had a press release for the new Connect Transit card, which I'm wearing. It's just like an ATM card. You can pick them up at our Sutter County Library or the Marysville Library. Put some money on it, and you can ride anywhere more or less in the North State, from Stockton all the way to Chico on the transit. So you can go from one bus to another, beep in, and away you go. There's no more punch cards. So that was a wonderful event. Quite a few people attended. It's a good time. This weekend, I attended the 18th Annual Valley Muffler Car Show. It was for the donations all went to the Cancer Center in Marysville. They had over 100 cars at the car show, and we served tri-tip and hot dogs to a little over 300 people. Like I said, we toured the Oroville construction area. We also attended the summer stroll, and I was foolish enough to enter the Hot Wings competition. Supervisor Flores and I had a little competition who could eat the most, and I ate one more than he did, and I probably had better heartburn than he did, but it was a fun time. And for chamber events, didn't do too much the last couple weeks because we had a lot of meetings, so I had to be here instead of there. I attended one ribbon cutting at the North Cal Escape Room. If you ever want to have fun with the family, friends, or anybody, go there and see if you can escape out of a room. It's a real great time. Other than that, that's it for me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Councilmember Harris.
I have an escape room comment that I'll keep to myself. I too, a lot of this is going to be repeats, but Summer City Hall, what a great program for you young people, those of you who made it through the entire meeting, awake, right? But it was very good and pleasure meeting you. I'm not going to be able to make it to your graduation and the Mock City Council. I'm on my way to Vegas tomorrow morning, so, they slot machines trump you, I suppose. I don't know. But anyway, very proud of all of you. A great program. I think you're going to remember it for a long time. We've already had a request from a few of you I talked today at dinner to make it a little longer. And I think that's great. And it's good to hear that feedback from you. And you guys have all come together as a good group, and I hope you've learned a lot. I don't know how you could have kept from it if you paid attention. It's a really good program, and everything you've done, worked together, put that together. BMLC, the Beale Military Liaison. Meeting, I went down to that. I had my first meeting as far as you get invited to all the changes of command for the different units, or I'm not sure what the term is. But I attended the 9th Reconnaissance Wing, something with intelligence and surveillance change of command representing the city. And I tell you, it was very impressive. Sending pictures to my son. He's in the Air Force in Texas, and he was getting kind of a kick out of the fact that I was there in his world for a little bit. But it was nice. It was an honor to be there, honor to represent the city, met a lot of good people, and looking forward to many more. So that was good. Also attended Sun Suite 100-year anniversary event. Very impressive. I've born and raised here, driven by that plant all the time. I remember when they built it, and it had never been inside even the fence or the building. But all that's going on there. The robots were amazing to see them doing the packing details, but very proud of the fact that they're right here in the middle of our town, our own little version of Willy Wonka, so-called. It's pretty good. Plymouth Street Stroll was awesome. Got to see Manny almost burn his face off. That was nice. It was nice and warm, that's for sure. A lot of people were smart enough to get water. Had to take a couple people inside. They're a bit ready to pass out. But afterwards, from what I understand, my family went later, and they said the crowd even got bigger. So that's a very successful event, and nice to have that. Councilman Buckland already mentioned our tour of the Oroville Spillway damage and repair, very impressive. Even, you see it on video and on TV, and you know from experience that that doesn't do it justice. But even standing there, you can't even do it justice when your own eyeballs are looking at it until you get a perspective of there was a pickup truck, I believe, I remember, in the spillway, and the gal that gave us the tour said, the 2 Golden Gate bridges could fit inside that spillway. That's how big it is. And you do the math by looking at those vehicles down there, and it's true. It's massive, and they have a huge project ahead of them, and hopefully we'll get it right. Gil Sizer meeting, the Gil Sizer SLU meeting, that was basically personnel matters and a celebration of the retirement of a gentleman who gave 37 years of his life to that district. And I don't know how anybody can do that, but he did a heck of a job, and we're sending him off into retirement. Attended the meeting reference water rates. We had not very good participation. I believe there was maybe 4 members of the public there, plus Manny and me, sorry. And but they had some good questions, and of course, as usual, true to form, Dinah Langley answered every question professionally like a pro, and they walked out of there with their questions answered. So that was a good thing. And I attended 2 Yuba City Bears games. Go Bears! If you guys haven't been yet, they're a good thing. It's a fun family time, very inexpensive. You're laughing. You like the Bears?
Oh no, I work there.
You work there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, then you know what I'm talking about, right? All right. I don't see your hat. I forgot mine today. That's good, though. Anyway, so I would encourage anybody, take a night. Almost every night there's a game over there, whether it's Gold Sox or the Bears, preferably the Bears. But good times. So that's it for me.
All right. Moving on to Vice Mayor Didball.
Awesome. A couple of same of the repeats just because we did
did the same events. The Sun Suite 100-year anniversary was amazing. Great turnout, and just to see the inside. And I think it was really neat to see the folks that have been working there from generation to generation, and even the folks that have been there currently. I think there was a lady there that's been there 40 years. So I'm assuming she's going to retire soon, but just to see the generation of folks come through that plant was a really cool event to be there. Normal business as far as meetings, had the waste management meeting as well as the transit meeting. Normal business, budget, and contracts, just moving forward with that. And like Manny mentioned, the Connect card is now fully used throughout our region. And did the Oroville Dam and spillway site visit. That, as we said earlier, just doesn't, the pictures, the videos, things like that just don't do it justice to how amazing that work out there is. Everybody that's working, the heat was, I don't know how, we had a difficult time standing in the heat, and those workers out there are there 24/7 working on that project. So hopefully it'll be a good result. The completion date as of right now is November 1st, and we have invited DWR to come to our council meetings for updates. Terrell's going to be working on some of those too, follow up and see when they can get here. We will also be attending regular meetings to obtain updates. We'll get folks to attend from our part to go to their meetings as well. Just want to say congratulations to all the students who have come through this program. 2 weeks ago, we announced that the program just started. Now you're right at the end. Great job. Looking forward to hearing the projects, your mock city council meeting. You guys have done phenomenal. I love hearing the feedback because it helps us make this program better every year. So some of the feedback that we've already received, one of the big ones was to extend the program from 3 weeks to 6 weeks, which is amazing to hear because it does take away from your summer. But obviously there's an interest for it. I hope you all walk away from the program learning something. One of the feedbacks that I did receive over and over from several of you is that you didn't expect to learn some of the things and didn't even know some of the things that even existed. So walking away, just having a new found knowledge with how your city functions and what local government is all about. So really appreciate that feedback and looking forward to see your end product. Other than that, I don't think I have anything else.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, 100-year celebration. Definitely, I was there. I was permitted to present a resolution and able to read it. Many of the times when these events happen, we have 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 resolutions being brought up. This time, I was permitted to be first, so I was able to read my whole resolution without repeating what everybody else had said. So that was actually quite fun. Also had a little story about, it was confirmed as to the location and stuff by a gentleman that actually had been working there for a long time and came up here from Campbell, California area. He had worked there where it was originally at, the real original location, and then San Jose and some of the changes. Mr. Azevedo, I had the honor to speak with him, and that itself thrilled me personally that he had been there and involved for so many years. Let's see. They had a great prune food contest in there where they were saying who could make whatever, and then they had a competition. But then I went to the Environmental Quality Policy Committee meeting in Sacramento for the California League of the League of California Cities. One of the comments that struck with me with John was that removing local decision-making and control and setting precedents. In the past few years, we have done very well at fighting that, but this year does not seem to be a very good year for us retaining control. There were a couple of items that in my committee that basically they sold out, in my opinion, to having the state being in more control than us. And that's very disturbing because when the state tells us what we have to do and when we have to do it, becomes very expensive, not only for us, but for the citizens that we have to serve in the communities. So I am not happy with this year serving on that. For some reason, it's a bad year. Like they said, we toured Oroville Dam Spillway Project. I'm very engineering in how I think, and I was asking questions dealing with more of the engineering side of it, and I got some great answers because one of the ones that gave us a tour was a very high-level engineer on that, and had been there since the very beginning of the failure. So I was like in a candy store getting information from him. Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency, attended that. There are some definite changes coming forward with how we're going to have to approach some of our asks for money and grants and stuff. We're going to have to make some changes because some of the people are changing their ideas on how for us to have to do it. And so we're having to do our normal adjustment. Let's see, summer at City Hall, loving it. I got to speak for part of a morning about the responsibilities of the mayor and the council, and that was enjoyable. Gil Sizer, we're actually changing the management part of it from Yuba City more to the county to decide, who does all the reporting and the employees and things of that. So we're making some changes there based upon some future. What is Gil Sizer Slough District going to look like in the future? County had some concerns, so they had to take it over to work those out. And then what we're going to be doing is on Friday the 23rd, we're going to be doing a support rally for the funding that our state of California legislators just seem to not understand that you need the money for these these levee projects to upgrade them. Dam levee okay, whatever. The levee projects, and that the same channels that move the water and keep the water in for flood are the channels that move water to areas they want to have water that doesn't have it. And they can't seem to get it into their heads that those levees need to be in great condition. So if there is a failure, or what if there is a failure? Well, that becomes interrupted because of, or contaminated, or the water supply is going towards them. And they just haven't figured that out yet. And so we're going to be having that on the 23rd with Simdeman and the senator, and I'm going to be speaking about a Lower Feather River Corridor Management Plan that will allow us to dredge the river, wet and dry style of dredging, removing of sedimentation, since we've had so much slough into the river and causing difficulties in there for many different reasons. Other than that, I have nothing else. I will be attending your council meeting, and I will be also at the graduation part of it. So it's going to be fun watching you go out with all your new wonderful knowledge and understanding and opened eyes to where there's a lot more out there than you could ever believe. Opportunities. Is there anything more from staff or anybody else? Meeting adjourned.